Welcome back to Cinema Flicks Music Picks. I'm Davey, your host with the most, the beast with the least. Well, the least we can do today is have a look at the brand new, just released, or it's not actually released yet, it's released next week, but if you pre-ordered, you might have your copy already. Mine came yesterday, of the 4K of George A. Romero's 1977 Martin, his deconstruction of the vampire film, much like his, of course, much more famous Dead films, were his deconstruction of what were very different types of zombie films from before he got his hands on them. You know, they weren't always, zombies weren't always dead. Sometimes they could be brought back, like in White Zombie with Bela Lugosi, etc. But now, every zombie is like a George A. Romero zombie. So this is his deconstructionist take on the vampire mythos. So obviously not as iconic as his Dead films, but that's a high bar. That's a very high bar. Very exciting when it was announced that this was coming out, because it's not even been on Bluray, much less 4K. And Second Sight did such a great job with the Dawn of the Dead set that we just knew this was going to be excellent. So anyway, a troubled young man who believes himself to be a vampire goes to live with his elderly and religious cousin in a small Pennsylvania town, where he tries to redeem his blood-craving urges after he falls for a lonely housewife. All the while, his hostile cousin becomes convinced that the young man is actually Nosferatu. Now, that's pretty accurate, pretty damn accurate. It doesn't sum up just how quickly it gets into the Martin believing that, you know, he is a vampire. I mean, that's pretty much as he's going to stay with his cousin. But that doesn't mean that the film's tremendously fast paced and it's all action straight. It's not Dawn of the Dead. It's a slow burn. I can see why it's not quite the cult film that Dawn of the Dead is, or Day of the Dead, because it is a much slower burn of a film. You know, it's George's fifth film, came out after The Crazies, and it's very laid back at times. It takes time to let. It's a character piece that happens to feature a killer who may or may not be a vampire. It's not a vampire film, you know. So, or is it? You'll need to watch and find out if you haven't already seen it. So, special features on this new restoration in 4K, of course. Audio commentary by George A. Romero, John Amplis, who plays Martin, and Tom Savini. This was the first time Tom Savini would work with George A. Romero, safe to say not the last. Then a separate commentary with Romero, Savini, and the Rubinsteins. Thank you, Richard Rubinstein, for holding all this stuff back for years, but hey. A new audio commentary by Kat Ellinger, always welcome. Another new audio commentary by Travis Crawford, so that's 4 commentaries on this. Taste the Blood of Martin, a new feature-length documentary including a location tour, a new interview with the composer, Donald Rubinstein. I wonder how he got that job, just because his brother produced it, eh? Who cares, Romero used his friends, so. J. Roy, New and Used Furniture, short film by Tony Bubba, and Making Martin, a recounting, then trailer, TV, radio spots. The limited edition version has a rigid slipcase. Can we confirm? Yes, I'd say that's pretty rigid. Yes, that's rigid. Yeah. With the original classic artwork. Can we confirm? Yes, indeed. Soft cover book, can we confirm? Yes, yes indeed. With new essays by Daniel Bird, Miranda Corcoran, Travis Crawford, Heather Drain, Kat Ellinger, she gets everywhere, Andrew Graves, Alexandra Heller Nicholas, Elena Laxick, Stephen Thrower, John Tilson, Simon Ward, and Tony Williams. Original soundtrack CD by Donald Rubinstein, and 5 collector character art cards by Adam Stothard. Whew, plenty on this. So let's have a look first of all at your discs. So, Martin's never been the best looking Romero film, but we've never had it in the best quality. So what was this going to look like? Here's how it's presented. Happy to say that it looks absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. It's by far the best you've ever seen Martin looking. Because they did a bit on the disc art for sure, but it looks absolutely breathtaking. So there's your 4K, there's Bluray, there's your there's your CD, there's your 4K, and there's your Blu-ray. Yeah. There's your 4K, and there's your Blu. I'll get there one of these days. But yeah, this is the best quality that I guarantee, have seen this in. It's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Is it as good as, say, Dawn of the Dead? Not quite. Is it as good as Day of the Dead? Not quite. But again, Martin never had as many prints. It's not been as well preserved. It's not been as widely available. So the elements have just not been there to give us their real top quality. And to be honest, I don't think it was shot on the highest quality film stock in the first place. So it might be that the information was never really there to restore it in the first place as highly as they want. But you will not be disappointed. It's not a waste, it's not a case of, I think I'll just get a Blu-ray then. Believe me, it's still worth the 4K. Let's have a look at our art cards. So, there he is, the Terror himself. These two are cousins. These are really nice, aren't they? Actually, really well done. Really, really good artwork. Yeah, that's phenomenal. And then there's your artwork on the booklet. And I say booklet, it's not a booklet, it's an actual book. Martin. As always, second side give us, how many pages is this? 104. Yeah, 106 pages. With 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 13 essays it looks like, including on the kitchen sink credentials of Romero's grimmest horror film, sexuality and original sin, realism and fantasy in Martin, 70s independent vampire films, and a feature about the novelisation even, which isn't included. We did get the novelisation of Dawn of the Dead in the box set for that, but as you can see, there's plenty of reading in this, so it's not just one of these, well, I'll call them out. It's not one of those Arrow booklets where they do have a tendency to pad it with a lot of photographs and, yeah, not so much text. So this is a proper book, and basically everything here that you see that's white is a full text page, and then in the middle, just like a regular book or biography or whatnot, that's where you get some cool colour photos, which look to be, yeah, mostly, in fact I might show you that because that's a spoiler, that one. So there you go, do not look at the booklet first if you don't want to be spoiled, if you have not seen Martin. In fact, these are all a bit spoilerific. Yeah, but we can get away with that one. Shiny happy people. Yeah, some nice behind the scenes stuff. There's when George is a priest. Brilliant. Now we've got some cool original posters. I like that Italian one, that kind of cartoony one. And it was called Vampire in Italy, and Dario Argento did a re-edit of it, just like he did with Dawn of the Dead, and Goblin did a new soundtrack, just like they did for Dawn of the Dead. Unlike Dawn of the Dead, that's not widely available outside of Italy. It never really caught on, but again, this was never as big a film, so there's a reason for that. And there's Vampire there, as it was. Yeah, I really like that. Some of that artwork's just phenomenal. I'm digging this. This is, yeah. I've got a Jackie Chan set that is full of like 100 pages just of the old VHS covers, and it takes me really back to the early 90s and sitting in the video shop. And then you go talking about how Simon and Day published the George A. Romero novelisation of the film itself. Martin was one of the films that was seized by the authorities for the potential inclusion on the Video Nasties list in the UK, which would have meant it was banned, and it never was. And they ultimately decided it was acceptable. And I almost feel like it would be a more popular and well-known film if it was, because people adored the Video Nasties. They had a cachet of their own. People would collect just to get the new Video Nasty when it came, finally came out, or bootleg copies of the Video Nasty. The list of what was it, 70 odds, 80 odds. They would try and work their way through and tick them off. So Martin might have had more of a notoriety had it have been banned, ironically. Because not including it let it kind of slide down the Romero filmography, being surpassed by all his Dead films. I mean, I think it's maybe his best film. Don't hold me to that. I love Day of the Dead, but I love Night of the Living Dead. Yeah, it's definitely his top 3. Put it that way. But yeah, I mean, it's better than your Knight Riders, Monkey Shines. It's the one with with Timothy Bottoms in it, and Michael Rooker. The Dark Half. It's better than the Dark Half. If they'd have switched the casting that around, where Michael Rooker was the main character, that would have been better. So it's better than that. It's certainly better than any of the modern trilogy of Dead films that he made. And hey, I think it's better than Creepshow. It's in that grim 70s period. George wanted to film it in black and white. It was ultimately overruled. There is a small section in black and white, but it was ultimately overruled. So yeah, it's that grim 70s period for George. Think of The Crazies and Always Vanilla. The first Dead film, even though that was 68, it's kind of paving the way for the 70s. Yeah, so it's very much in. If you've got that set from Arrow, between dawn and what we call between night and dawn, yeah, something like that. If you've got that set, it's very much in that vein in terms of tone, grimy, dark. Very, very dark comedy in places though. There's some very funny moments in a very sick way, but I wouldn't go so far as to call it a dark comedy. It is a horrific movie, and it is a horror movie, but it's also a good drama that happens to have a few darkly comic moments. So I'd take it that way, to be honest. I'd take it that way. So that's been your look and my quick thoughts on the new version of Martin. Again, wonderful 4K restoration. It will not look better than this. It just won't. They're pushing as far as this can possibly look without just remaking it, to be honest. So yeah, thank you Second Sight for your usual splendid work. It's not in one of their massive box sets like Dawn or like Drive. It's more like the size of the one for, I don't know, The Witch or one of those kind of ones. Only nickel I would have liked to have the novelization. But that's just me, maybe. So, hey. Anyways, and they're doing Texas Chainsaw Massacre next. That's already been pre-ordered. So, hey, might see you back for that one, who knows. Until then, though, my friends, until the next video, stay very safe out there, and as always, love and mercy.